Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and this is the third Annual Wasteland Reviewer Awards. And it's that time of year where I look back on the previous year, and because I can, I pick my own nominees and my own winners for all the major categories for the Academy Awards. I don't usually do the shorts because honestly I don't really get to see them, and I also don't do the sound ones because to be honest, not really the best judge on sound editing and sound mixing. So, and in previous years I didn't do foreign language or documentary because I didn't really see much of them. But you know what? I did this year, so I'm going to do them. And we're going to get started with them, and specifically with the documentary one. I've seen a handful of documentaries from this year, including Maria by Callas, which I thought was fine. I thought it got a bit boring and repetitive after a while. I saw Three Identical Strangers, which I thought was extremely intriguing, and really captured my attention, but let's be real here, there's only one winner for this, and apparently the Academy Awards can't notice that, and it's Won't You Be My Neighbor, the documentary about Mr. Rogers. Oh, this movie was so lovely, so beautiful, and I enjoyed every last second of it. And I don't know what's wrong with the people at the Academy that they didn't appreciate this. They must not have any hearts. Makes me sad, but I absolutely loved Won't You Be My Neighbor. If you get a chance to check this out, I'm pretty sure this is on like Amazon and stuff like that at this point. Go watch this. It's so worth it. You really get to see how Fred Rogers brought this show to be and all the impact that he brought to society. And it's such a beautiful story. Now, foreign language film. I actually have 5 films to talk about because I actually saw more than 5 foreign language films this year, and some of the nominees are Foxtrot, which deals with loss in terms of a son going off to war and how you deal with that. Summer of 1993, which is about a young girl trying to deal with the grief of losing her mother to AIDS and then trying to learn to live with her new family. Then we have Capernaum, which is the Lebanese film up for Best Foreign Language Film that deals with a young 12-year-old who's on the streets on his own and then sues his parents for trying to make sure that they stop having kids and dealing with all the poverty that's plaguing where he lives. Then there's Roma, which is getting tons of attention all over the place, this Netflix film by Alfonso Cuarón, and everybody is either on the Roma hype train or everybody hates Roma. So, which team are you? And then my winner is Cold War, actually. And I love this Polish romance, the style, the aesthetic, how beautiful this film is. And people talk a lot about the cinematography and the black and white of Roma. This film does better and even more beautifully. And this film tells a very tragic and beautiful love story. And I absolutely loved Cold War and would suggest people going to check it out. And I just did my review for that this morning as well. Now, some of the more technical awards that are out there. We're going to look at makeup, which the Academy Awards keeps us to 3 nominees. I don't really get the point of that. And to be perfectly honest, looking over their nominees, I wasn't really happy with most of them. But looking at makeup and hairstyle, I apologize, there's 2 parts to this award, aka the Suicide Squad Award, because Suicide Squad won this. And then people are like, how dare that movie win an Academy Award? But legitimately, the hair and makeup were pretty great in that movie. But we have The Favorite. A lot of the period pieces hitting these kinds of awards, like costumes and production. And then you have Mary Poppins. And I loved how everybody looked at Mary Poppins, and the whole entire production, which we'll get to in a second, was beautiful. Vice, what they were able to do with aging the actors, and I know a lot of the work was Christian Bale putting on weight, but they were able to make him look exactly like Dick Cheney, which was really uncomfortable. Mary Queen of Scots, the hairstyles in that movie, though, were pretty impressive. But I'm going to give this to Stan and Ollie, and I think it should go specifically for what they were able to do to John C. Reilly to make him a perfect representation of Oliver Hardy, and they did such a great job with it, and I think that's why it deserves the Wasteland Reviewer Award. Now to costumes. So this is where They get to have a lot of fun in terms of a lot of period pieces, sometimes science fiction. This is a category where Fury Road really stood out with all of its crazy designs. But we have The Favorite, so costume design also really legitimately captures that time period that The Favorite takes place in. Mary Poppins really looking great in terms of the costume design and everything, especially when they go into their little animated adventure. The Avengers, Infinity War, I think that all the designs and all the costumes of all these different kinds of characters and creatures were really cool, and I think it deserves some recognition. Mary Queen of Scots, same kind of reasons as I mentioned for The Favorite, really capturing the time period, but I would give this to Black Panther because it balances that superhero kind of costume design along with very traditional African garb. And I think they did something really impressive in terms of how they used colors and the different kinds of costumes, and except the CGI ones, because they didn't look so hot. Now, production design, and yet again, The Favorite, I would give a nomination to because they really captured everything they needed to make this beautifully, fully realized time period piece and really being able to capture what that era looked like. And then Suspiria. I recall sitting and watching that film and being in awe of how fully realized and unnerving everything about this like dance school and all the hidden places in this dance school really were able to help elevate a lot of the scenes and a lot of the tension in the film. And then you have Avengers Infinity War, which the production design on that was amazing, going to different worlds and all the different kinds of designs of everything. It's so memorable, and you literally get teleported to different worlds in this film. And the same goes to Black Panther. The production design was really impressive. Wakanda was such a great, fully realized place, and I love that fact. But I'm going to give this one to Mary Poppins Returns because besides the bike ramps, which made absolutely no sense, this film, they really bring this crazy world to life, this new look of London, and then especially the animated sequence where you go to a completely different world inside the world of a little bowl, honestly. And it's so cool and how textured everything is, especially in those parts of the film. Now, visual effects. Most of these are almost the same exact ones as the Academy Awards, but some of them made zero sense to me, some of these nominations. I'm like, why'd they give a nomination to Christopher Robin? Honestly. I know they like to give them to some smaller films, which is why, for my nominations, I gave a nomination to Annihilation, which you're going to hear a lot about Annihilation during this award show. But I absolutely loved Annihilation, and I think some of the effects, they were able to create some really unnerving and yet beautiful things in this film, and so much went into that based on the effects, and Alex Garland films have won this award before, including Ex Machina, which I'm a little sad that Annihilation didn't get any love for literally anything for the Academy Awards this year. And I'm going to give it to Aquaman. There's a lot of special effects in this film, and a lot of the times they looked great. I would put Black Panther in here, but they didn't. A lot of the times it looked like rubber band people and rag dolls, and that's not a good thing. But Aquaman, there are some really impressive feats of visual effects in that film. Ready Player One, which there's whole stretches of that film that are literally just CGI and is basically like a CGI animated film at moments. And it's really awesome and awe-inspiring. And then Solo, which honestly isn't getting a whole lot of love from anywhere since it really didn't make that much money for a big blockbuster that cost probably close to $250 million. But I thought the effects were great. But nothing this year has anything on Infinity War. Infinity War, if this doesn't win at the Oscars, I'm going to be really upset because, to be perfectly honest, how can you not give this to all the fully CGI creations in this? Like, Thanos looks like an actual being standing there and is so believable. And then his Black Order, Ebony Maw, looks fantastic. He looks so creepy. But just, like, all the special effects in this film are absolutely amazing. and I don't see how they can't give it to Infinity War, and I really hope that it gets it. Now, film editing. So this one's, I was debating including this one as well, since I'm not the biggest on like understanding editing and the nuances of editing, but from what I can recall, like sitting and watching films this year, some of the ones that really got me was Bohemian Rhapsody and how well they put the musical scenes together of them performing, especially the Live Aid finale was absolutely amazing. Avengers Infinity War, just the fact that they were able to put that whole entire thing together on such an amazingly giant scale was really impressive to me. How well and fluid The Favorite was and how well put together that film is, there's going to be a lot of love for The Favorite on this award show as well. And then A Star is Born. With Live Nation on helping with the production of this film, these concert scenes felt so real and so impactful, and I love that film. But honestly, this film makes me really upset that Mission Impossible Fallout got zero Academy Award. Like from what I recall, no Academy Award nominations. If I'm incorrect, I can check that later. But how do you not put the best action film of the year that's so well put together and so amazing, so exhilarating, not give it any technical awards? I don't get it. Don't get it. But Mission Impossible Fallout, you get my Wasteland Reviewer Award for Best Film Editing. Now, getting into some of the others that I really enjoy, so Best Song, and I'm going to say this now, I don't nominate songs that are included in the credits or trailers of films because that's cheap and stupid. And that's my opinion. And since I'm picking these awards, that's what I'm going off of. But I really appreciate when a song comes from an actual film and makes an impact in the film. So sorry, Kendrick Lamar and whatever song got nominated for Black Panther, because you're not on my list. But we're starting with When Cowboys Trade Their Spurs for Wings from Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which it's such a nice, cute little song from the first part of their anthology on Netflix. And Tim Blake Nelson does such a great job crooning this song away, and I really enjoyed it. Everything Must Go from Hearts Beat Loud, which I absolutely love that film. Such a great little film with Nick Offerman and Kelsey Clemens doing such a great job together performing the music. Hollywood Ending from Anna and the Apocalypse, which was one of my biggest surprises of this year. I absolutely love that film, and I really enjoy this super, super British musical. And this song I really enjoy. A Cover Is Not the Book from Mary Poppins Returns, which I still have that song stuck in my head from yesterday when I was writing out these picks. But I absolutely love that song. I think it has a lot of personality. Emily Blunt brings a lot to it. Lin-Manuel Miranda brings a lot to it. But hands down, Shallows from A Star is Born better win this at the Oscars too, because I get goosebumps every time I listen to this song with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. It's such an amazing song, and I really hope that they win, and really hope that, like, probably one of the biggest parts of the Oscars that gets me excited is getting to watch them perform that at the Oscars. Now, score. I always really appreciate score and really care about the music that go into films, and mine's going to be very different than some of the other nominees that the Academy Awards came up with. I'm definitely giving it to all involved, including the Carpenters, for their construction of the new score for the new Halloween. I think that John Carpenter has made some of the most iconic scores ever, and I feel like it really captures the films that he makes and are really important. And I absolutely loved what they were able to do with shaking things up and doing enough owing back to the original soundtracks from Halloween. Ludwig Göransson, who did the score for Black Panther, which balances very nicely this traditional African themes to really capture those moments of Wakanda, but then also this modern twist on a lot of the music dealing with Killmonger and really creating that dichotomy, because that's really important in the film, and I feel like it's important to point out. Alexandre Desplat and his work for Isle of Dogs, which definitely one of my favorite scores of the year. I think it really captures the aesthetic of the film and time period and where this takes place, and he does such a fantastic job. And the taiko drum sequence is super memorable, and I absolutely love it. Johan Johansson, which, rest in peace, and one of his last scores for Mandy, which Mandy's going to get a lot of love on this award show today, so I hope you guys are prepared. But the sense, how atmospheric that score is, really helps elevate this whole entire atmospheric fever dream of a film that Mandy is. But my number one, because I listen to the score from this regularly, almost every single day, is Alan Silvestri's score for Avengers Infinity War. The piece called Forge is one of my favorite pieces of music to be put into a film in a long time, and it really hits one of my favorite scene from that film and really captures the emotion. And that score is so memorable, so beautiful, and I think Alan Silvestri did such a great job, and I'm glad that Marvel put in the effort to bring him back, because I know they don't always put a whole lot into who scores their films, but they've been on a good track record lately, especially with Mark Mothersbaugh for Thor Ragnarok, which I nominated last year. Thought that the score for this was great, and that's 2 Marvel scores this year, so you go, Marvel. Now, animated feature. Now, I had to go back, and one of these might be a controversial pick, because I put Gotham by Gaslight as a nominee, and I really loved Gotham by Gaslight. And that Batman film I thought was really creative, had such a cool idea to it, and basically my nominees are almost exactly like the Academy Awards minus that, because you have Isle of Dogs, which I wanted to love Isle of Dogs. I thought it was great, and I really, really appreciated it, but I still love Fantastic Mr. Fox better. But I really enjoy the work that Wes Anderson does with his animated films. Ralph Breaks the Internet, which I thought was such a fun, creative film. Incredibles 2 blew me away, but you know what really blew me away? Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, because hands down, best animated film of this year, one of the best films of the year, and I'm going to get to that in a couple minutes, but I absolutely love this film. It hit on so many levels. Absolutely beautiful film, and I really hope that it gets all of the recognition that it deserves come the Oscars when it wins Best Animated Feature. Now, looking at our nominees for my favorite category, which is cinematography, because I absolutely adore looking into the cinematography of films. And looking at this, Rob Hardy, who honestly should be nominated for 2 films this year, Annihilation, which was just a beautiful, haunting film, and then he also did cinematography for Mission Impossible Fallout, which the cinematography for that was absolutely amazing. And I don't feel like action really gets enough credit enough of the time, because even last year, the cinematographer for Shape of Water also did John Wick Chapter 2, which had, honestly, some of the best cinematography I've seen in an action film ever, and really deserved a lot of recognition. Matthew Libatic, I hope I said that right, and he's famous cinematographer for a lot of Darren Aronofsky films, but he did the cinematography for Stars Born, and he did so many things with the concert sequences and just generally the film that made it not just feel like a straightforward shot film. He did so many great things with it. Robbie Ryan for The Favorite, the camera eye shots, the really extremely wide angle lenses, everything about this film, how the camera moved, had such a Kubrickian vibe to it. And if you're hinting at Kubrick with me, you're probably going to get my attention, because love Kubrick. Pavel Pogorzelski, who did the cinematography for Hereditary, I so recall sitting and watching that film in awe of how well the camera worked and how they set up shots and how they use deep focus for some of the most unnerving sequences in that film. And I think the cinematography should really be celebrated for that. But who I'd give this to, Benjamin Loeb for Mandy. Oh my god, the lighting, the colors, how this is shot, and the camera work, everything about this film is so outworldly and just immerses you in so many different ways. And so many technical aspects of this film really grab you and pull you into this film. This is one of the most unsung films of the year, and I'm so glad that I got a chance to see it. Had to wind up buying it on Blu-ray, getting a chance to see it, but I absolutely loved it, and I think Benjamin Loeb deserves recognition for what he did with the cinematography. Now, in terms of the writing, I'll admit, if I have some issues with whether these were actually original or adapted, please correct me. I tried my best to make sure that I figured out which category they're correctly supposed to go into, but starting with the original screenplay, we're looking at Wes Anderson for Isle of Dogs. I think he did so many amazing things in this film, really incorporating all these different kinds of aspects in terms of the characters and the commentary and this world that he set up. Boots Riley for Sorry to Bother You, which is legitimately one of the most original films I've ever seen. And that film goes in so many different directions, has so much to say, and really hits hard with this commentary. Ari Aster for Hereditary. I absolutely loved that film and where that film went, what it incorporated, what it was about. The human drama in that film is so fully realized. The characters, the tension, and the conflict between them. Bo Burnham for 8th Grade, really capturing something that could have been a really straightforward coming-of-age story and really making something special out of it. But Deborah Davis and Tony McNamara for The Favorite. The dialogue in that film alone should win this award, and really original with how snappy the dialogue and powerful the film is. So I would definitely give it to The Favorite. And then adapted screenplay. We have Spike Lee and everyone else involved in the writing of BlacKkKlansman, which I thought was such a great film, such snappy dialogue, and also had a lot to say. Gillian Flynn and Steve McQueen for Widows, being able to balance so many things. That film was a lot deeper than I was expecting for a heist film, with all the political and racial and social commentaries throughout the film. And then Can You Ever Forgive Me? Nicole Holoforner and Jeff Whitley, that has such snappy dialogue, and just the dialogue alone, I think, deserves that nomination. And obviously the actors and actresses in the film being able to bring it to life. Armando Iannucci and his work and the rest of them involved in the death of Stalin. I absolutely loved that film. The dialogue, Armando Iannucci can make dialogue forever, for every film, and I absolutely love it. But I'm really going to give this to Alex Garland for what he was able to do with the film Annihilation, because it was absolutely extraordinary what he was able to do. Now, continuing, thinking about my nominees for Best Director. So one of these really is a standout because I highly doubt most people are probably thinking about him, but Christopher McQuarrie for Mission Impossible Fallout. And to be perfectly honest, what he's able to do with all the action, all the set pieces, I think he really deserves a lot of recognition for creating one of the best action films, honestly, ever, with Mission Impossible Fallout. And him getting nominated is very similar to George Miller, who should have won Best Director when he was nominated for Mad Max Fury Road. Then you have Panos Cosmatos for the film Mandy, and bring on the Greeks because there's going to be more of them, but he does such an amazing job of creating this atmosphere and this aesthetic and balancing the action, the tension, everything about this film. Yorgos Lanthimos doing his best new Kubrickian film because he just might be the newest, the next Stanley Kubrick, with how he's able to capture such dark things and in such an interesting and engaging way. Bradley Cooper, first-time director, really got snubbed by the Academy Awards, but I really feel like he deserves the recognition for what he did with A Star is Born. But I'm going to give this one to Alex Garland because Annihilation is the best film of 2018. that's how I feel. And honestly, being able to capture intense, thrilling action in small bursts, honestly, pure horror in this film, and being able to balance everything about this film, interlaying everything, all these different kinds of themes and different kinds of just, it balances drama and thrills and horror and action and these science fiction elements about it. It's just fantastic, and I think he really deserves the recognition. Now we're going to get on to the supporting actress and actors. Best Supporting Actress nominees: Regina King for her fantastic work in If Beale Street Can Talk. And she does such a great job in that film, and she has some very powerful moments. Margot Robbie for playing Queen Elizabeth in Mary, Queen of Scots. And yes, she really is a supporting role. You wouldn't guess that from the trailer, though, but she is such a fantastic actress and really carries all the scenes that she's in. Emily Blunt for playing Mary Poppins, because just pure charm and just everything about her is, she's nearly perfect in every way. And yes, I shamelessly said that. Rachel Weisz for her work in The Favorite, which I'm not nominating Emma Stone. I think what Rachel Weisz did was more impressive, and also I thought there were some other nominees, but Rachel Weisz is such an amazing actress. But you know who pulled the biggest duties of 2018? Was playing 3 different characters, completely different, and doing an amazing job with all of them, is Tilda Swinton for Suspiria. And she was absolutely amazing in this film, and I think she deserves all the recognition in the world for playing an elderly man, and then basically playing a woman of her age, and then some other surprises. And what she's able to do in that film is absolutely amazing. She's a chameleon. Now, Best Supporting Actor. Oh, Best Supporting Actor. I loved Hugh Grant from Paddington 2, and the ham and everything, the charm, the talent, everything he does in that film is absolutely amazing. Mahershala Ali for Green Book. He is such a talented actor, and he plays a very different person than he did for his other Oscar win for Moonlight, and he does such a fantastic job in Green Book. Michael B. Jordan for Killmonger and Black Panther. He brings an intensity and emotional heft to that film, and he does such a fantastic job in it. Here's one that's not really getting any attention, but I would say Russell Crowe from Boy Erased. There's one scene where he makes one facial expression that I don't know how you act that, and how that's not real, and how you, like, quote-unquote fake it. And his performance in that was so amazing. Russell Crowe is one of the best actors in the world. But I think this goes to Sam Elliott from A Star is Born, and I can make that decision based off of literally one scene, and one look, and one expression, and every time I think about that scene from that film, it makes me emotional, and he did such an amazing job in that film. The acting was so A+ in A Star is Born. Now on to the main actor and actresses. So, in terms of Best Actress, I'm going to say Glenn Close for The Wife. She does such a fantastic job. I was super excited about that film. Some of the elements of the film didn't work so much for me, but she was absolutely amazing and carried that film. Olivia Colman, one of the biggest surprises of the year. Also the surprise that she was actually the main character in The Favorite, because I would never have guessed that from the trailer. But she does such an amazing job in The Favorite, and acting up against Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz, who have a lot more star power, and she really owns it. Lady Gaga for A Star is Born, and she does such a fantastic job in this film, and really, her and Bradley Cooper are so amazing in that film. Cynthia Erivo. Now, you're probably wondering from what, and it's Bad Times at the El Royale, which is one of my favorite films of 2018, and I feel like has such amazing acting in it and deserves recognition, and she was amazing in that film. Her and the other lead of the film, which I'll get to in a minute, do such great things, but I'm going to give this one Best Actress to Toni Collette for Hereditary, because oh my god, did she carry that movie, and she scared me. at moments with how intense her performance was, and she was absolutely amazing. Best Actor, Christian Bale for Vice, because how the hell he recaptured himself as Dick Cheney was absolutely amazing. And the same can go say about Rami Malek for playing Freddie Mercury, which was absolutely a fantastic performance and really carried a run-of-the-mill kind of musical biopic and made it that much better. Viggo Mortensen, and being an Italian-American, I can vouch, Viggo Mortensen portrays a very convincing Italian-American. And I just absolutely loved his performance in this film. It was so endearing, and which is hard, seeing as I haven't seen work of somebody making a racist person and an insensitive person so endearing since Clint Eastwood. And that's actually a high compliment because, like, Viggo Mortensen does a fantastic job in this film. Jeff Bridges for Bad Times at the El Royale, I remember sitting watching that film and realizing this is why Jeff Bridges is one of the greatest actors ever. And he does such an amazing job in that film, and particular things about his character make it so much more heartbreaking, and he sells it so well. But Bradley Cooper for A Star Is Born. I was going into this film thinking, this is Lady Gaga's movie. Bradley Cooper directed this. He produced it. He's involved in the film, so he's going to be in it. But he stole the show. And the performance I remember most is his performance from that film. And brings so much tragedy and charisma to this character. And he does such an amazing job with it. And now, the final award for Best Picture. And I did cut mine down to 5 nominees. And if you've watched my top 10 video with my friend Matt, which, shameless plug, you should go check that out. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to make. I hope it's a lot of fun to watch. I know I had fun. But these are my top 5 films of the year. And nominees, I've talked about this already, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Other nominee, The Death of Stalin, which I talked a little bit about in terms of the writing. The acting's superb. The writing is amazing. So it takes such a darkly funny take on such a powerful political moment in the history of humanity, honestly. Bad Times to El Royale. So much fun, such a crazy, engaging story, and crazy characters, great performances. 8th Grade, which is one of the most endearing films of the year. Powerful film about coming of age and really how does social media, as I sit here on my YouTube channel talking about 8th Grade, and really how that helps mold people. But hands down, Best Picture of the year, the winner of the Wasteland Reviewer Award for Best Picture is Annihilation. And I'll talk up Annihilation to anybody. This film balances so many things: science fiction, horror, action, thriller, drama, and does it in such a superb way. Alex Garland is one of my favorite directors now, and basically his films are like an event film for me now, and I cannot wait until his next film comes out. And there you go. Those are my Wasteland Reviewer Awards. And to remind you all, these are my opinions, and you might think my opinions are wrong. And you disagree, comment, let me know what you think. I love to talk movies and hear other people's opinions. And thank you again for another year of support for your Wasteland Reviewer, and look forward to keep tuning in for more of my videos in 2019.